I will never forget that day. Unlike the calm routine days I had grown accustomed to, everything changed in an instant. That morning, I woke up as usual. I made myself a cup of coffee and stood by the window, watching the world outside. I was 61 years old, but there was a part of me that had always felt young, refusing to accept the reality of aging that I had taken such care to manage. I exercised regularly, and every time I looked in the mirror, I tried to see someone who was still vibrant and attractive. But a void lived within me. Nothing could fill it. Jack. The delivery man's name was Jack. Every time I saw him, I felt something strange, an inexplicable attraction. He was 22 years old. Perhaps it was his youthful energy that had drawn me to him over the past few months. I kept ordering things online, books, home decor, sometimes completely useless items, just to hear the doorbell ring and see him standing there. I kept telling myself it was inappropriate, but my heart raced every time. That day, as I stepped outside, I saw Jack delivering packages in the neighborhood. He rode past me on his motorcycle. Suddenly, his tires skidded, and he fell right in front of me. I screamed, my heart pounding. I dropped my bag and ran to him. His knee and elbow were badly scraped, and the pain was evident on his face. But he still managed to flash that smile. "Judith, I'm fine, it's nothing," he said in a deep voice, trembling slightly. "Don't be ridiculous," I said firmly. "Don't tell me you're fine. Come inside and let me take a look." I helped him pull his motorcycle onto the sidewalk. I supported him as we walked to my house. He hesitated at first, but my insistence left him no choice. Once inside, I led him to the couch in my living room. I grabbed my first aid kit and began cleaning his wounds. My hands were trembling, but I tried to steady them so Jack wouldn't notice. As I worked, I couldn't help but notice his youth and energy up close, but there was also a certain maturity in his expression that caught me off guard. "I'm sorry to trouble you like this, Judith," he said with a smile. "Really, it's not a big deal." I chuckled, trying to sound stern but unable to hide my smile. "You fall and hurt yourself, and you think I'm going to let you just get up and go?" As I applied the bandages, Jack grew quiet. His eyes were fixed on me, and the air between us grew heavy. When I placed the bandage on his arm, our hands brushed for a brief moment. That accidental touch intensified the silence between us. "Judith," he began hesitantly, "I didn't expect you to be so kind. Most people just want me to drop off their package and leave." I looked at him, and something shifted inside me. "You're not just a delivery man, Jack. I see the way you look at people, how caring you are. And honestly, being around you makes me feel alive in a way I haven't felt in a long time," I admitted, my voice trembling slightly as my cheeks flushed. I couldn't take it back. Jack's expression changed. There was a new determination in his eyes, accompanied by something undeniably magnetic. Slowly he leaned closer, his gaze never leaving mine. Before this story spirals further, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to find out what happens next. Your support through comments and likes means everything to me. At that moment, Jack's eyes locked onto mine, and the air between us became electric. This was just the beginning. "You know," he said after a brief silence, "the place I'm staying at is far from my job. The daily commute is exhausting. I've been thinking about finding a place closer, but the prices are way too high." When he said that, something stirred in me. I realized I could help him, and the thought gave me a strange sense of excitement. "Jack," I said softly but resolutely, "I have a small apartment right next to my house. It's not rented out. If you want, you can move in for a very reasonable price. It'll make things easier for you." Jack looked at me, genuinely surprised. "Judith, you don't have to be this kind," he said, his voice tinged with disbelief. But I had already made up my mind. I knew in that moment that everything was about to change, and it did. That day became the first step in breaking the monotony of my life. This story was just beginning. At that moment, the tension between us heightened. As I tended to his wounds, I held his arm, but my hand lingered on his skin a little longer than necessary. For a brief moment, my eyes traced his broad shoulders and strong arms. I noticed him watching me, too, cautiously. His gaze traveled over my legs, my waist, my shoulders, and my heartbeat quickened. Though I tried to ignore it, I was lost in that moment. My hands trembled as I finished the bandage. Then, as I bent down to pick up a fallen bandage, Jack leaned down at the same moment, and our hands accidentally touched. We both froze. The electricity of that brief contact made the silence between us even heavier. As I slowly stood up, our eyes met again. I tried to decipher his expression. There was hesitation in his eyes, but also something undeniable, an attraction. "Judd," he said in a softer voice than I'd ever heard from him. "I have to say, I didn't expect you to be this kind. Most people just want me to drop off their package and leave. They wouldn't go out of their way for someone like me. Honestly, I don't even think I deserve this much." Hearing those words made me lose my focus for a moment. I saw something deep, something mature in this young man. I tried to compose myself, forcing a small laugh. "Jack, if you move into the apartment, it'll feel like I've been waiting for you to take charge all along," I said, easing the tension slightly. Jack looked even more surprised. "To be honest, I need to move fast. My landlord is trying to evict me, and I still have deliveries to finish," he said in a slightly rushed voice. He stood up quickly to leave but paused to take my number before heading out. The next morning, I saw Jack arrive in a big truck with two of his friends. They began moving his things into the apartment. Standing by my window, I found myself watching him carry heavy boxes with his strong, muscular arms. I couldn't look away. Something stirred in me, a feeling I hadn't experienced in years. His youthful energy, his dynamism. It was captivating. After a moment, I pulled myself together. I poured coffee into a thermos and headed toward them. "You must all be exhausted," I said with a smile. "I'd love to invite you all to dinner. Let's sit down and enjoy a good meal." Jack and his friends thanked me, but Jack said, "Judd, that's really kind of you, but my friends have to head back. It's a long drive." I felt a pang of disappointment but hid it well. When evening came, Jack arrived alone. Seeing him there, I felt a mix of surprise and excitement. I greeted him with a smile. "Where are your friends?" He shrugged and gave me a small smile. "They had to leave. They couldn't stay." "I didn't want to leave you alone tonight," he said. Hearing those words sent a wave of joy through me. The rest of the evening, our conversation deepened. At that moment, I realized this was the start of something new. "To be honest," I said with a small smile, looking into Jack's eyes, "I expected all of you to come, but since it's just you, I suppose there's no harm in opening a bottle of wine. I always enjoy wine with dinner, Jack." He returned my smile, his eyes fixed on me. "That's perfect. Wine and you, what more could I ask for?" he said, igniting a small spark in me. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a bottle of red wine and 2 glasses, and brought them to the table. As I opened the bottle, I tried not to notice how Jack was watching me, observing me as if trying to figure me out. But I could feel his gaze following my every move. During dinner, with the help of a little wine, our conversation grew more personal. "Loneliness," I said, taking a sip of wine. "Sometimes it's almost unbearable. It can drive you mad. I've spent most of my life living for others, and now I realize how much time I've wasted." Jack listened intently, his expression soft and understanding. "Loneliness is tough at any age. But you, Judith, your home, your cooking, even the way you dress, everything about you shows so much care and effort. You've made yourself so beautiful. It's unfair that someone like you has to live alone." Those words caught me off guard. It had been so long since anyone had spoken to me like that. My heart raced as I looked into his eyes, realizing that the connection we were building was something I hadn't felt in years. His words both surprised and deeply moved me. "No one," I said softly, "has said anything like that to me in years." My heart was pounding. "I understand what you mean. But sometimes, no matter how hard you try, no one notices." Jack set his wine glass on the table and leaned toward me, his gaze intense and focused. "You're wrong," he said in a low, resolute voice. "It's impossible not to notice you." Those words stirred something in me. Combined with the wine, my heart and mind were at war. His eyes stayed locked on mine, and the way this young man looked at me with such attention sent a shiver through me that I hadn't felt in ages. "Jack, you're very kind," I said with a slight smile, though there was a tremble in my voice. I clasped my hands in my lap, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from his. At that moment, the space between us felt much smaller than it actually was. "I should be honest," he said suddenly, his voice deeper. "When I came here, I was just looking for a fresh start. But the more I talk to you, the more I want to get to know you better. There's something different about you, Judith. It's like you carry a light, something alive." Those words left me stunned. The wine, the atmosphere, his gaze, it all hit me at once. I took a deep breath, but my heart was beating so fast I couldn't calm down. "Jack," I said, locking my eyes with his, "you've made this night so special. No one has made me feel like this in a long time." At that moment, the tension between us reached its peak. As Jack's eyes met mine, it was as if the world stopped. Without thinking, caught in the magic of the moment, I leaned toward him. When our lips met, my heart felt like it was about to burst. It awakened something in me that I had suppressed for years. But reality hit me like a wave. I pulled back quickly, my face flushed with embarrassment. My thoughts spiraled into chaos. "This isn't right," I whispered, avoiding his gaze. I stumbled toward the kitchen to escape the storm within me. I hadn't realized Jack had followed me until I felt his hands on my waist. His closeness stopped me in my tracks. "Judith," he said in a low but firm voice. He gently turned me to face him. His eyes locked onto mine, this time deeper, more intense. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't escape. My hands instinctively rested on his shoulders. His strong arms held me tightly, as if we were the only two people in the world. Jack broke the contact for a moment and looked into my eyes. "Judith, do you really want this?" he murmured, his determination unraveling me completely. I nodded slightly, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," I said. As his hand moved gently along my back, he guided me toward the bedroom. My heart raced with every step, my anticipation growing. Once in the bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed, and Jack stood before me for a moment. His eyes roamed over me, and I noticed the warmth in his gaze. I raised my hands to my shoulders, sliding the thin straps of my dress down. The fabric slipped to my feet, leaving me vulnerable. The admiration and desire in Jack's eyes fueled me. For him, this moment was unlike anything I had dared to imagine in years. All that was left was to surrender completely to the tide of the night. As I lay back on the bed, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror across the room. I looked mature and alluring in that moment. Jack gently placed his hands on my shoulders, guiding me to lie down as he hovered above me. His eyes locked onto mine, his hands resting on my waist, moving slowly. In that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in so long, something I had deeply missed. It didn't take long for me to respond, letting out a sound that surprised even me. I didn't know where to place my hands. It was as if I couldn't keep up with what